Order. This is the September 13th, 2022 meeting of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission. We'll get started with the work session items. So we had draft minutes for June 28th, 2022. Did everyone get a chance to look at those? Any questions or comments? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
And Jim second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Okay. Okay, Thomas, 84 Pilot Island Road. This is a project change request, as well as a request for an extension permit.
Correct.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Come on up.
So
You're Mr. Thomas?
I sent in a couple copies, but I also brought a photocopy or two, just so that if somebody wanted it in their hand.
Okay.
And I know I do when I talk about it, so this first page here is the conduit going across the water, and I just wanted to show approximate locations of where I'm going to be putting these structures. On the second page, underground to hold the conduit in place on the shore, both on the island and on the mainland.
Okay.
And then the third page is a optional hold down for the conduit that we can deploy from a barge. I have a 24-foot barge and about 40 feet of dock that we're going to be using to deploy the conduit.
Okay.
And the cable will be pulled through as we deploy the conduit. So hopefully a minimal disturbance. It should get all done in one day.
So it'll be run, the cable will be inside Schedule 80 PVC pipe?
Yeah, so these pipes will fit 19 of the conductors that I'm using, and we're pulling 5. So it should be a real easy pipe.
Okay. So it'll just sit on the bottom of the lake, and then the rigging that you have there, at what intervals will that be? Like 10-foot intervals?
I'm planning on having 20-foot sections of conduit and one mechanism for holding that section to the lake. So it'll either be this solution. I don't really want to put the second page solution in the water, so I'm sourcing precast to be used, which we talked about and is already included in my order of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't come prepared to talk about that, but
Okay. When do you expect the work to be done?
well, I've been working on this since 2008, and we're making a lot of progress this year.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to be done by 24
All right.
with the whole project.
Okay, so the project change request is specifically for the,
This structure on the second page, I'm sorry, to go underground on the mainland and just above the high water mark on the island to hold the conduit in place.
so,
So Shea Concrete would be providing that parking structure, which is what it's fastened to.
so the pipe will be running along the bed, come up out at the edge of the lake.
It'll enter the mainland and the island approximately 18 inches below the water line, high water mark.
And then, okay, so, and then what happens? I'm not really, I
Well-
can see the cross-section there.
So this is just of the structure that's going to be placed on the first page. You can see the where I'm going to be placing them, here and here. on in the island, just
So
above
where-
the high water mark, and then again above the high water mark in the mainland. And then I had proposed to the electrician to have one on every section, but not this. I prefer not to use the metal in the water. I just want to use the precast in the water.
Okay.
Unless you want me to, but at this point, Ralph Deedy has agreed that we don't need to use the complex structure in the water at all. We'll just be binding the conduit together and then weighting it down.
So it comes out of the lake, then connects to a utility pole with?
So the pole is about 20 feet off the high water mark
Yep,
on the mainland.
okay, you can see
And
that.
it'll be underground across the island. I actually could show you a picture of the ditch that we have hand dug on the island, ready to receive the conduit if you'd like. So we've been hand digging that ditch.
So that's on the island.
Yeah, and we're gonna fill that back in with the additional material that I'm bringing out to the island.
Okay, I'll open up to questions from the commission.
Everything I have here, you guys already have copies on file.
Down there. Oh, they did, okay. I'm sorry, what was that last comment?
Everything I have here, you guys have copies on file. But I'm happy to leave the photocopy with you guys.
Sue, Anna, did you have any concerns with this?
Through the chair, the electrical inspector did give some feedback
Okay,
that he wanted it either buried below the lake bed or as shown in the original drawings.
or installed as was shown in the original drawings?
Correct, with them completely covered. He said, or have them get a stamped electrical engineering drawing for the service designed. He's concerned about boat anchors and other stuff grabbing it.
So he wants it covered
So
fully?
your original proposal was to have.
Well,
it
but
covered.
those weren't originally, that wasn't to go the whole 400 feet across the water, but I can work on that. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. So I think regardless of what the commission says, that you're gonna have to work with the electrical.
As long as you're okay with me having that many in there, I didn't, I haven't, I don't have a document where it says that that's all the way across, I don't think, but I'm fine with that. I'm not sure where
So
you're
how,
at.
so when the
I
lake
do
is,
have,
during the drawdown, is that entire area exposed?
no. It typically is about 8 feet of water, even in the large drawdown. Actually, I guess I don't have the detail. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is the detail of the half pipe. The
Right.
cement structure that I have in the original plan is a half pipe, so by a 24-inch precast pipe, and cut it in half and lay it on top. My current plan was to have Shea do a three-sided bottomless culvert, but they're not amenable to making it a size that I can manage, so I'm kind of back to the half pipe thing. Their three-sided culvert was 4,500 pounds, and I don't know how to carry it.
So you're not excavating the lake bed?
No.
Okay. So if you're not doing this?
No, I am. That's what I'm saying. I'm doing that still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the original plan was not to have it go the entire length from shore to shore. It was going to be at the deepest point.
Got it. But now it's going to extend the entire length.
So if that's what you want, if that's what the electrician and the electrical inspector wants, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I think that's,
I'm pretty flexible, and I want it to be a 100-year solution so that it's permanent. I wouldn't have to go through this again.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's why I came out, originally the reason I'm using Schedule 80 was to protect the wires.
Right. Yeah.
But if he's going to require cement coverage, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
think it makes sense. You know, there's a lot of boats in that area and people drop anchors and you don't want them.
I'm out there every weekend.
Yeah.
It's very busy.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Questions or comments from the audience? Can I get a motion to approve the project change
I'm
request?
still trying to formulate a thought here. Give
Oh,
me
okay.
a sec. Well, this is a great pond. Are there issues outside of our purview or the electrician's purview that might need to be addressed? I have no idea.
None that I've come across.
Chapter 91 regulations on a great pond.
So I do have my Chapter 91 filed, and I also talked with the Army Corps of Engineers.
There you go.
So
Okay. And that correspondence was submitted for the project file?
yes,
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, if I can get a motion to approve the project change as discussed. And a second? All in favor? Aye, and we need another vote to extend the order of conditions for 3 years. Is that what you're looking for?
please.
And the second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
everybody.
have a good evening, thanks.
You too.
We have a couple more minutes, so the Eversource, this is a request for a COC. I think this one's pretty straightforward. Joe did the review on it. The PIBs are installed. Oh, good evening. So the PIBs are installed, conditions are stable, and the plantings have been established sufficiently per Joe's review. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sue? Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
We have erosion controls to be
Right.
removed, that's about it at this point.
I'm Jean Christie, Senior Engineer with Ty and Bond. I think there's a couple things. We submitted our request. We did have Lucas review. I think everything was good there. You know, I think with some of the rainfall recently, it's been questionable, but the last time we were on site for a stormwater inspection, everything looked really good and stabilized. Basins were constructed, you know, the way they were supposed to. You know, our inspections were always following storm events, so there's always water in the basins. So that is something that you'll see in all the pictures, but
Okay.
everything was hunky-dory from our perspective.
Yep, I think Joe reviewed it and went out to take a look at the site and agreed. So I'll just open it up for questions from the commission. Questions from the audience? If I get a motion to issue the COC for Eversource.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Excellent.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
You're
much.
welcome.
Good night.
Okay, so this is a new hearing. We'll move on to the new hearings at this point. Schofield, 211 Wood Street. This is a request for a determination of applicability for drainage improvements, gravel driveway, and invasive species mitigation. Come on up.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. I just have to read this before we get
Thanks.
started.
Sure.
Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 13th, 2022 at 7 o'clock at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street. Hear all persons interested in an after-the-fact request for determination of applicability filed by Harry Schofield to perform invasive species mitigation, install a gravel driveway, and make draining drainage improvements with associated site work. The location is 211 Wood Street, Assessors Map U9, Block 33, Lot 0. Okay. Just want to give us a quick overview of where you're at?
Yeah, so I'd submitted the application with Anna. She helped me through some of that. Shrunk that driveway. Is this the old? Oh, no, that might be the new one. I tried to shrink it as best I could, but I also have dimensions in there, moving that as far away from the buffer zone as possible. And some of the comments from the previous meeting where it looked rather large, it wasn't really to scale, but so I have the dimensions in there as kind of a guidance.
Okay. So the PIBs are in place at this point?
Correct.
All right. The erosion controls have been installed. There's proposed trimming of the sumac and invasive brush, correct? So that hasn't occurred yet?
So there's, I guess there's two areas for that. One at the, I guess the southeast corner of that driveway, the existing driveway, which I think falls outside the
buffer zone.
The buffer zone anyway, and then all along the, I guess northwest plan is a lot of the invasive. So the plan would be to treat that from a third-party company.
Okay. So the PVC pipes here indicating that they'll be installed if necessary, but there wasn't information provided as to, you know, what determines if it's going to be necessary or not.
Sure.
If you can just provide us some
Yeah, I
background
mean,
there.
when I closed on the property last fall, you know, there was standing, if you look at the pipe to the north side there, running north-south, there was standing water all through there. And then, obviously, water table's been down quite a bit since then, so, you know, right now it's dry, so I don't know how to really say, is it necessary or not. I'd prefer to put it in while I have someone there doing the work as, you know, precautionary if nothing else can help with it. But, you know, to really determine, is it necessary right now, I don't know how I would go about doing that, because the standing water isn't there right now.
Okay, so you're going to put it in anyways as
I
a
would hope
contingency?
to, yeah, while I have, you know, a machine in there that can trench and all that, so.
Okay. Okay. All right, questions or comments from the commission? This is pretty straightforward.
The vegetation.
Yes, Sue, what was that?
It says the appropriate vegetation for well improvement. Do you have details on that?
I don't, honestly. I'm kind of going at this by myself, so I would maybe look for some guidance from the commission or,
Yeah.
you know, a third-party company. Obviously, I don't want to put anything in that would be a disturbance or a hindrance, so
Right, we have a list.
if there was a resource, yep.
Yeah, there's a resource that we have at the commission. You can reach out to Anna or Sue, and they can provide that to you.
Sure.
And it, you know, outlines the buffer zone and wetland-friendly, you know, plants that we prefer to see to be put in cases like this. So they can provide that for you.
I have what I think is a quick, easy question. I think I heard you say that you're now providing the measurements for your gravel drives. I don't see that. Did I mishear you?
Yeah, so
Is it in the
Roughly,
table?
roughly 18 by 35, it's in the note next to it, right there. Yeah.
Oh, I read the first line and the last line of that. Thank you very much.
Okay, no questions from the audience. Can I get a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I do have one question. So the knotweed treatment is somewhat of a time sensitive because once it freezes, once we get frost, from who I've spoken to, it's not really effective to treat it then. Is this like I can move forward with that? Is there any more?
Yeah, we have to issue the permit or the negative determination officially, but I think it's safe for you to go
At least
ahead with
schedule
that.
it and then,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you can
I'm sure it's a
schedule
few
it.
weeks out anyway,
Do you
so.
want me to do a signature page for you guys to sign tonight?
Yeah, you could do that, Anna, since it's a short meeting, then we can sign it. So
Okay.
she can get that to you, and then you'll be all set.
Excellent.
And
Thank you.
also, like, through the chair, like, we always say, like, it's at your own risk, you know? You
Right.
can do it, and it's very low risk, so,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone is going to appeal the decision, so.
yeah.
To get rid of some knotweed?
Right, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, thank you.
Get rid
Thank
of
you.
the knotweed in front of their whole door, and the whole world will be clean.
Okay, the Trail Zero Legacy Farms North, this is an amended notice of intent for drainage improvements.
Good evening,
Good
Peter
evening,
Bemis,
Mr.
Engineering
Bemis.
Design. And I'm joined with Jim Gately.
Mr. Gailey?
Yes, how you doing?
Good, thanks. I just have to read this before we get started. Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 13th, 2022 at 7 at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street. Hear all persons interested in the amended notice of intent filed by the Trails for drainage improvements with associated site work. The location is the Trails Development at Legacy Farms, 0 Legacy Farms North, Assessors Map R8, Block 38, lots F, H, K, and L.
Good evening, Peter Bemis, Engineering Design. So this project currently has a DEP file number, it's 188-1649, and we are underway with construction. We are in our Phase 3 component of work, about 50% complete with 108 starts and 78 units occupied approximately. The first sheet that's in my plan set that's above you probably is not the right plan to start with, in that those are improvements that are proposed in the town of Ashland, which is a notice of intent that's still pending. The town of Ashland will endorse that. We've worked out those details, we just don't have it yet. This is probably the better one to start with. So I just wanted you to understand the first sheet was for other work that's going to be part of this project.
Okay.
So as I was describing to you, Phase 1 was really the entry road and then these two roads here. Phase 2 was a portion of this other work on Weston Lane, and then this Bandon Lane. This is the connector road here, and some improvements on here on Weston Lane. And then basically the third phase was this Weston Lane coming back to here. So this is where we are in the project now. The proposal that we have for you is to do some drainage improvements. But I got to be kind of specific about why we're doing those. To give some history, Bowler Engineering had flagged the wetland resources here and had submitted plans to the town in February of 2218 was their original plan set, which had a drainage report that was dated 1/3/18. Then with a final plan, they issued plans 6/27/18. It was a 45-sheet set, and the drainage calculations that supported that were 2/2/18. We got involved in the project in 2019, so basically a year later in June 25th, 19, we had issued drawings replacing a number of sheets in the plan set. And what happened at the project was it went from a number of triplex units within the project at 180 units to 175, with only 5 of those triplex units remaining. So they eliminated them. And the reason for the elimination was twofold. At the time, the town was receiving benefit for affordable units, but this is age restricted. They lost the age restriction. Because it's age restricted, you don't get affordables under state guidance. So the project had changed. We decided we'd eliminate some of those triplex units. However, we did retain 5 of them, pretty much just because of the geometry of the project that had already been laid out. So we're 175 units now. As I said, where we are with the phasing, we're in phase 3. The amendment we're submitting to you is to address deficiencies that have been discovered through a peer review done by a third party in the town of Ashland. As many of the commission members know, in 2001, the summer of, we had a couple of hurricanes, and we had a series of events where we were unable to control stormwater on site, and we had releases. And a couple of those were in different areas. We had primarily one going in this direction here, going through the middle of the site. That one we found was due to underground drainage systems that were located here in site that were part of the project done by Weston Nurseries, where they were draining that area. So even though we had perimeter controls in place, the water was getting intercepted inside the site, going underground and coming out on the other side. When we discovered that, we eliminated it, we stopped that problem. The other problem that we had here was at this detention basin, because basically the entire project was coming down to that location. During the hurricane, we had put a plug in to the detention basin. However, during that storm, that plug became unleashed and basically washed out a slope that was located here on the town of Ashland. And we did subsequently fix that. We've been able to hold water in that basin this whole time.
So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
So both of those happened in 2021, correct?
2021, that's right.
Right, so
That's
the drainage outfall that was below the structure that you guys had designed, that was removed in 2021.
And then
that was
put back
recapped.
online. Correct.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, recapped, and actually, we've actually gone in and cleaned that basin once as well, because we've been using it as a holding cell, so
Right, yeah,
sediments
I
get
remember that.
accumulated in there.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
So the peer review engineer, and that's GCG, is the name of that firm that's helping Ashland out, found 2 deficiencies that were in the design. That's really the focus of what we're doing here. One was that they took issue with the curve number values for the project. So what we've provided in the notice of intent was a 20-year history of photographs, basically using Google Earth, to show what was going on here prior to even Legacy Farm Road being here. So this goes back to Weston Nurseries being just that, a nursery. There's no such thing as Legacy Farm Road. And we gave you the sequence of photos through that period of time. When this whole project was put together by Baystone, I believe is the proper name of the firm, that did this, that Vin purchased the property from, they hired Vanessa Hangenbrustrom, it was VHB that did the original design. VHB had come up with a curve number for the project, and that curve number seems to have been married to everything that would happen here. So they basically looked at the site and they used it as a C to D soil condition, and they used that curve number that's available for this area. We looked at it, having to kind of look back and figure out why are things happening the way they are. And we said, well, wait a minute, this was agriculturally used. It was well defined because there was a contoured landscape to it. And I have to say that, you know, we've been doing this now, I'm 35 plus years in this business, and I started doing drainage calculations before we had computers and we did them by hand. So I kind of know the system, and we would always try to be conservative because it's much easier to put more in place than less in place. And in this case, my takeaway was that I felt like there was less in place. So I was kind of following GCG's point of view here, which was that could this have been done more conservatively? So we looked at it and said, okay, look, if we take the higher curve number, or basically the lower curve number, the higher land use, we're better off under existing conditions. So the curve numbers that they had originally used were, just want to get the right numbers here.
So the new design incorporates the updated curve numbers?
Correct. So we went from 82 to 75.
Okay. I don't think that's going to be meaningful for most of the people.
Yeah, well,
here,
it's a 4-unit push, which is really significant. Although I know that you've had another member on the commission that was practices engineering like I do, so there's an appreciation for that. But what happens here with the values of the runoff is that Bowler Engineering originally estimated the existing to be 546, and we've estimated it to be 528, which doesn't sound like a big difference, but it is significant because that 20 CFS is very hard to try to retain within the existing systems. And so what we've suggested is that we revisit 2 basins. One hasn't been built yet, that's phase 4. And the other one is the one that's in phase 3. We did rebuild this basin at the end of Birkdale, and I'll be able to show you pictures on that later. This area is a very small watershed. It's actually a biocell, and it's working extremely well. Very well vegetated. It does very good work with improving water quality for drainage coming through this area, and there's really no reason to touch this. And it wouldn't accomplish a heck of a lot. Again, this one has a limited watershed, and that's why we're saying leave that alone. This is where we can make this significant impact. And the other thing that's good about the soils here are the soils in this section of the site versus this section. This section, highly impermeable. The soils just don't absorb water through here, and we've witnessed that through the rain events that we have. The soil conditions across this portion of the site are highly permeable. And the only reason why we found that was that we had this area where we were actually leaching water underneath the ground, and it was popping out back here. And so what we've done, kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but we did do a modification through this section of the site. This was something we did offline with Beta. Kim was involved in that, and that work has been completed. We actually built a settling basin through here, and we actually take water that's coming from this section of the site and we discharge it, and there's currently no overflow. We're holding it, and it's actually infiltrating every storm.
Okay.
We just had 4+ inches.
That's not related to the current NOI that's before
No, not the
us.
current NOI,
So
but I
can we
just want you
stick
to
to
know
the-
that that's there, okay? So we've shown that we can do this. So what the yield from all of this was that we found that the curve number wasn't conservative, so we're using a more conservative curve number because Ashland has become involved in the review of our project. So that's what this design includes. And then the second piece to this was when Bowler did their design analysis, they did not treat the receiving watershed as what's called an outstanding resource water. That's a water supply, so automatically it's an ORW. And ORWs are supposed to have a 1-inch infiltrative volume. They did a 1/2 inch. So by taking the impervious areas over the site, they were only infiltrating half of what they were supposed to do. But it was even worse, because when they did that 1/2 inch calculation, they made a mistake. So when they computed it, they had 1,711 cubic feet required. When we've done the calculation, there's 8,268 cubic feet. So we're really like an order of magnitude of 4 that we're off by. So unfortunately, the project...
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go quickly.
So who did the original design on this?
Bowler Engineering did.
Okay.
So
And then the 4 order of magnitude, what was that
it's
related
about,
to?
in round numbers, it's a 4, because what we're taking, it's the volume of water that you want to infiltrate. So we want to get a certain volume of water to be put back into the environment.
Right, no, I
Versus
get
runoff.
that.
Okay. So by doing this improvement here, and that's the only reason why I raised it, we're getting that. And then we're getting more here by changing the geometry of this basin. And then we haven't built this one yet, but we will be able to make those improvements so that we achieve the volume we're supposed to achieve. We'll actually have more.
So the infiltration volume was understated by 4-fold, you're saying?
Correct. And again, so a project was designed by an engineering firm, a peer review engineer evaluated it on the town's behalf. They didn't see it. You know, Mr. Gately didn't deliberately do something here. He bought a project that was already approved. We're trying to help Mr. Gately build a project. We just find these things, and now we're trying to correct them. So that's the reason for the
Understood.
amendment. Okay. and I told you about that one, so that's fine. So ultimately, what we're able to achieve with this, if you approve the design as it's been submitted, is that we can take the existing 100-year rate of runoff that was originally computed by Bowler at 528.89 CFS, and we can bring it down to 467.8 CFS, a significant reduction. In order to do that, we need a couple of things. One, we're asking you for a waiver to do work in your 50-foot buffer zone, because I already have a basin that I am trying to reconstruct within its limits, but I am minimizing the impacts within that zone, and the next sheet will describe that. And then I'm also, and we didn't take credit for this, but we recognized that there was the ability to do one other thing that would be important to this project site, and that was to convert all of our sidewalks to permeable pavement. We haven't built them yet, and we just see that as being a win-win. We can take all of that water, because each of these roadways has a sidewalk. We could take all of that water and we can just put it right back in place. And that can be done effectively because we can build it so that it will have a volume of storage. And it can be a permeable material. Whereas, again, the soils in this region just are not permeable. We have struggled with this. Some of you folks have come out during those storm events. Once the sediment gets in suspension, it just doesn't settle out. It takes a while. And we can see the residues that form inside our basin because we're using it as a holding cell right now. If any of you have been out and you've seen the Birkdale Basin, we reconstructed that and we stoned the entire bottom of it. That water is clear as a bell. You can actually see the bottom standing at the street. So it does work when you do it right. So the last slide, if you wouldn't mind, please. Sure. Thank you. So this shows the details of the basin. And you'll see the existing limits. So this is the basin at the end of Weston Lane. So again, to orient you, you come down here, here's a sewer pump station, this is the discharge pipe, this is the sediment trap forebay. We're not changing the dimensions of the forebay, it's large enough. The basin itself has this configuration today, and what we're recommending is that we would expand it in this direction here. The top of basin would come in this direction, and this is where the original discharge was approved. Ashland would prefer it not to discharge along this is the driveway to the lagoons, coming off of Wilson Street here. They've asked us if we would just take it east. So by taking it east, I need to have an outfall for it. The reason why Bowler, when they originally designed it the way they did, was so they didn't go into your 50-foot buffer zone, and that's why they went in this direction. So by going east, I'm going to be in your 50-foot buffer zone. And so that's what we've done. And the other thing that we're doing that's a little different than the first design is that we're putting in a pipe for larger storms. What we want to do is hold as much water as we can on site. So only when we get to the 50 and above do we have the ability to use these pipes. The idea is to try to contain it as much as possible within the cell that's here. And then those of you, again, who've been here, you can see the riprap that extends out. This is really just for velocity control for the stormwater leaving this. And then we would enter into the wetland system that flows down here to Wilson Street. There are other improvements that we want to make off-site that will be part of that separate notice of intent to improve the hydraulics of the water, because the water right now is being diverted to the west, and the water naturally went off to the east. At some point, a project was done to change the water patterns here on Wilson Street by the town of Ashland, and we want to put it back the way it was originally. So that's what all the details are in this zone. Then when we go to phase 4, which we haven't built yet, but when we do, we're changing the geometry of that basin, because again, it did not hold enough water for the infiltrative component of this. And so we've made that basin larger, and the work all in this area it complies with all your requirements, because I have the ability now to change the geometry of this and not affect anything, because we haven't built it yet. So that improvement is straight up, no problems, and I'm fine with it. All the requisite details are on here in order to build this.
Yep.
We've submitted it to you to submit to Beta. I realize you don't have the comments back yet, so we'll be continuing this matter.
So just going back for a second to Basin 2 there. That outfall is already installed, right, to the north?
This one here?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So that's going to have to be removed?
That note says to remove that basin, and then it's going to be repositioned to here.
Okay, so, yeah. And then I'm sorry, I can't read that. What size outfall is the one that's existing?
I want to say it was a 36-inch.
And then what size are you proposing that's going to discharge?
Oh, it would be the same, yeah.
Oh, it's the same size? It looks bigger, that's the only reason.
No. The only thing we did was we added these higher ones. These are two 12-inch. We're just trying to buffer the flows a little bit differently, and that's why they're there for different storm events.
Okay, so that's 3 different outfalls? right
Yes. And this is really just for those very,
there? High volume
And
storms?
the other thing I would add to you is that this was designed based upon, I'm trying to remember the rainfall data that they used. I mean, so this would have been the 2017 or 16 data. We're using NOAA. We're using in other words, we're looking at this like today. So we're going from probably maybe 8 inches, we're almost close to 10 now.
Yeah, that's what we require.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're in the same boat. We want to design for the future, not for yesterday.
Right.
And that's basically what we're working around here, is yesterday's design, and we're trying to design for the future.
Okay, I got it. Questions from the commission? We're going to have to continue this out.
I'm prepared to
Beta's
continue,
comments.
yes, absolutely.
I just have a question. So discharging into the wetland system, we would want that? It just seems like we usually try to prevent discharging into the wetland system, no?
I'll answer that. I mean, I don't want to go this way. I would like to go this way. Ashland would prefer us not to. I wanted to do these in tandem with Ashland, and we really had to submit this to you folks, because it's been pending for some time, as you know. So I'm prepared to continue this until I get the process started with Ashland, and possibly through some discussion and dialogue, maybe we can get this to go in a different direction. I'd still like to try to do that, but if they insist, then this is the only way I can do it. I need to get the water from here to this low point over here, and the only way I can do it on my own property is this way, because this ends, and I'm sorry you don't see the whole picture. If you bring it back a slide, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So they want to avoid it infiltrating into the lagoon area, right?
Their driveway, yes. Are you able to zoom in with your program?
Overflow.
Yeah, overflow,
Okay, so-
that's what I meant, sorry.
No, sorry.
You were close.
I hit the wrong one.
The plus
Sorry.
sign, go back. You'll have to probably do this.
My fingers
two
slipped.
sides. And then do the plus.
Yeah. That, let me move it over.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's pretty close. So what I was going to say is that what could happen is that we could take the water kind of in this direction here, but we'd be cutting down a lot of trees to do that. I'm also trying to minimize my footprint and try to keep this as isolated as possible so I have the least impact on buffer zone and resource. So my point would be is that although these trees are in your buffer and they're close to the resource area, I find these trees to be extremely valuable. They're all fairly mature, and I think that they're better suited to be retained in this zone and possibly, if you will, let me use the word sacrifice. So these trees are kind of sacrificed in this zone because I can minimize the footprint. I have less impact if I do it like this than I do it this way. So, like I said, we haven't started the process with Ashland yet. And, we can have that discussion, because honestly, that would be my preference. That's what we designed the first time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a kind of a middle ground there. It doesn't have to be directly to the east, but maybe kind of east.
East-northeast.
East-northeast, yeah.
Yeah. And we looked at possibly even just using this little bit right here and going in. It's contrary because you're going kind of away from the flow pattern. But again, if we were allowed to do a little bit more work there, we could maybe minimize an impact in that zone too. I'm willing to work on this, and I was going to talk to Phil Paradis, one-on-one when we finally get a peer review back.
Yeah, and why don't we? I think you're right. Let's work with the Ashland Concom to see if if there's any give there, rather than directly east. Maybe they'd be amenable to just shifting it to east-northeast.
Right.
Okay. All right,
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
May I ask you a quick question?
yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood, Mr. Bemis. Ashland doesn't like the current design because it sends the water ultimately to Wilson Street, yes?
No, sir.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, so what, it's sending it to the lagoon driveway.
Oh, okay.
Right, so if it's ultimately going to go to Wilson Street, and I probably, even though I may be talking out of turn because we haven't submitted yet, but I believe that most folks, anyone who's come here and seen the situation realizes that they're taking water and they're telling it to make a 90-degree turn. It wants to go east, and they're making it go west. So anyone that goes there comes back and says, yeah, how did we get here? But that's what's happening every day today when it rains, is the stormwater comes down to the end of the lagoon driveway, it gets to this point, and it gets diverted back. And that part of the design, I'm confident about. Well, we'll get that to work because it makes sense. That's where it went naturally. And therefore, if we're going to do that, then this pathway just makes a lot more sense to me than going here.
Right.
But I don't have the ability to have that dialogue yet.
The adjustment you made sends it towards the wetlands, but then again turns north back towards Wilson.
Yeah, this water
But it
course.
bypasses what Ashland's worried about. Okay.
I bypass their land. Basically, I go over all land that we own just to avoid the driveway.
Right.
So, yeah, that's all I have to present this evening, and we're prepared to continue to your next available meeting, and if you feel like Phil needs more time, then I'd bump it a meeting if you don't think he'll be ready 2 weeks from now. I don't know if he gave you a sense of, no.
He hasn't, other
He
than he
hasn't.
wasn't going to be ready for tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll just bump it to the next meeting. So,
Okay. If something changes,
Is there
then
questions from the
we'll
audience?
do that.
I get a motion to continue this out to September 27th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you
Jeff,
very
can I
much.
ask just one more question?
Yeah.
Could you just trace for me the Hopkinton-Ashland border?
Oh, it's that dashed line right here, this heavy line.
So it's a straight
Yeah,
line
it's a
there?
straight line.
And then where does it go if you keep going to the right?
To the right.
Oh, there, it's that line.
It
Okay,
just
cool.
keeps going. So the awkward thing here, for everyone, I guess, involved, is that this basically has been like, this is the town line. However, Wilson Street, going, I'm sorry, forgive me, I gave you the wrong line. That's our boundary. This is the municipal boundary right here.
Yeah, that's what I...
Okay, that's what I meant to say, and I apologize.
Okay.
So up to this point, Ashland has been doing improvements in Hopkinton because they did all of that culvert work.
Okay.
And it's actually Hopkinton, and I don't think
So
anyone
the
knows
lagoon
that.
driveway they're trying to protect is actually in Hopkinton.
Exactly, that's what, and I apologize for the confusion there. This is the boundary of Ashland to, of Ashland town-owned land and our project, and this is the municipal boundary right here.
Got
So
it.
Wilson Street actually goes to here, but when you go down there, they call this House Street.
Okay. That's a little confusing to me, but okay.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to add confusion. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we'll do that. We have Saddle Hill to do.
I'll wait till you do
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll continue on to Prasad Manahaven, 105 Saddle Hill Road. This is a continuation of request for determination of applicability for a underground propane tank.
That is correct.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay. So I think this looks pretty straightforward to me. Do you want to just give us a quick overview of what you are looking
Yes,
to
is it
do
okay
with the
if I get
property?
closer to this?
Yes, yep.
So this is the property, and we are trying to put a propane tank right over here, which is like, in line with the market standards or like the recommendations. So we are just keeping it like, 20 feet away from the house. So the propane tank is going to be right over here. And whatever, we're going to put a ECB, erosion control barrier here, just to avoid like any soil erosion to this wetland. And whatever comes out of the pit, we plan to put it this way, which is in the south-east direction. And anything, the additional soil, we plan to put on the northern side, so right over here.
Okay. And then I think the only question that, that Lucas came up with was, is there going to be a concrete pad
That is correct,
in
yeah.
the base of the excavation that the tank will sit on?
That is correct, without which we wouldn't get the fire department approval, so we're going to we want to make sure we follow all the right thing. We want to do it right.
Yep. Okay. So I think, if that's the case, if they're going to pour a pad, we just want to make sure that, any of the excess concrete, and they clean the chute that they pour it with, that doesn't get washed down into the wetland
That's one reason
area.
we're putting the barrier. We'll take all the precautions just to make sure, like, we don't mess up the wetland.
Okay. I think that was the only comment, correct, Sue?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay. Great. Questions or comments from commission? That was the only comment that Joe had and Sue. Questions or comments from the audience?
I had a quick comment. I think this is fine, and from the photos, it looks all previously disturbed. I'm not a fan of the plan. I'd love to see more specificity. I'm inclined to vote for it, but my comment is, I'd love to see more specificity on the plan. I'd like to see the measurement from the house to the tank. It looks like it's just kind of eyeballing everything the way the plan is drawn.
I think it's a minimum.
What's that?
I believe it's a minimum of 500 feet for a tank from the house.
I thought I read 10 feet.
10.
To the house.
I was going to say, mine's only like 6, so now I'm concerned.
But in any case, I would
I'm thinking.
I would be more comfortable if we had a more exact plan. I'm not going to stand in the way of the project, but
Maybe if you can just put some of the dimensions, how far the tank is from the house.
Sure.
If you can just handwrite that on the plan for us.
Okay, so you're looking for the distance between where we're going to put the tank and the complete distance. Is that correct? If I
Yeah.
that's, I mean,
sure.
if we're going to approve, I'd like to just have
Sure.
you're telling us it will be 20 feet from the house, and not that we show up and suddenly it's 40 feet from the house.
Oh, no, not at all.
I don't think you're going to do that. Looking toward the future as well, I would love to see a little more specificity in place.
I just want to disclose, I actually delineated this back in, back in the end of May or June, something like that, and before I helped out here, so just want to disclose that. I did the sketch, I did measure.
Okay.
I didn't have anything else to go by.
This is happening.
But there are dimensions on the sides of this was the GIS, from the town. That's all I had.
Okay.
And, but I did measure off, so.
Okay.
So if you can just add that one dimension in for us, the
Sure.
distance from the underground tank to the house, I think, and just submit it to our office.
Sure. Probably during the daylight, I'll measure it and I'll share it with the...
Yeah, no hurry, it's just so we have it for the project record.
Absolutely.
Ted, that'll make Ted happy in the commission. So.
I don't think it's an outlandish observation.
Okay, can I get a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability?
I will make that motion.
And the second?
Good faith.
Second.
That was Ed, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Awesome,
Good
thank
luck.
you.
Yep, thank you, have a good evening.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, so moving along 20th Century Homes, 3 Whisper Way, we have a project change request. Good evening, Mr. Nation.
Howdy. So,
He's got a ruler, so he can measure for you.
I saw it in his pocket when he walked in.
You go up to the screen?
I was going to suggest, maybe I should, I will now, you should take a measurement from each corner of the house there, so you get a
Triangulation.
triangulated point. That way you'll know right where it is. So, Matt Verrill sort of pointed this out last year when we were working next door. He noted the wall was more than what was on the plan, and he thought I should come in and talk to you folks to make sure that I was on the right track. So
Okay.
I then had the survey crew plot the wall. They came out in the field and as-built it and then overlaid it on the septic plan that I have of the lot. So that's it in blue there. Backtracking to this is an existing lot, right? There was a house here. So this was all sort of pre-disturbed. You can see there's an existing driveway coming in, which has been abandoned at this point. Now it's on the other side, coming off Whisper Way. So this lot was sort of always in the center of a lot of earth-moving stuff. The erosion control was put in place when we built the road, and it actually, do you have a laser thing around? No?
No.
We had,
It's a ruler.
yeah. This was like designated as a stockpile area, which we sort of used as that, but ended up, lots of boulders got like rolled down here when they were building the road. And then I come along just to clean things up, and I had just started stacking them along, essentially the erosion control line at the time. And then also you'll see the contours. This is all coming down off the mountain. Everything was coming through here. So I sort of expeditiously, I think before this lot was even a lot in front of you guys, before there's an order condition for the lot, I had already started sort of organizing things there. And then the original plan didn't show this wall at all, and I think even Ted might have said, this is just in my head, I don't think it got written down anywhere, but he didn't like the steep contours heading straight down to the wetland from the corner of the house. So then we showed this armored slope, or it does say proposed wall here on my original plan. Anyways, that's what we built, and I'm sort of hoping you're okay with it, because it's doing, I don't know if you've driven up there, but it's doing a really great job at, right now this is sort of like a temporary settling basin. A lot of water's coming through here, and it's all stopped. This is a dam set up on grade, and it's functioning nicely.
So the blue is where the...
Blue is new wall, the wall that I made. This was the proposed wall.
Okay.
I have photos.
Yeah, what's going back into the wetland there that's blue?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so then this is another order of condition for, which was Donna McIntyre's house. That's a separate
Okay, so that's
plan.
part of that.
That's
filing.
part of hers, and Dan had drawn that sort of on the plan that he made for that. That's another thing, there are two different engineers working there, so
Okay,
the plans don't jive. But when they came out to as-built it, I probably should have had them delete that, so it wasn't a question tonight. But anyways, there's sort of a new PIB for hers, connects up there, which connects up to the 50. You see her house is in the inside of the 50. That's the one that we added a garage and
Right, yep, no, I remember.
raised it.
Yep. Okay, can you bring the pictures up, please, Sue?
Sure.
I just want to see what the wall looks, so it's not like a solid wall, it's just boulders.
Yeah, really large boulders, like taller than me, the size of this table. So actually, that's part of the, so again, this is her old driveway that came through here. This is the old wall, and then we come along, erosion control, and I'm behind it again. So, you know, like this could be 6-8 feet, but it's 2 rocks.
Right.
There's more
Yeah,
pictures
yeah,
there.
they're coming.
This is Whisper Way in the background, the parking lot area for the trails right there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, except now I'm on top of the wall. The parking lot sign's right there.
So that's the wall right there?
That is the wall. And I'm on walkout grade here. Meaning this doesn't ever have to get touched, other than some of it gets it goes into like a replication type thing. See, it's a lot of them are 1 rock tall. They were massive.
So that area between the wall there,
The grass strip.
yep, so what is that gonna, what
Okay,
is that
well,
gonna be?
So that's on here. It shows it as like I get a PIB, and I haven't really laid this out. It was all the way to the other side of her driveway. If you go back to the plan, it's drawn on there that I'm supposed to put a PIB on the 50-foot. So you guys are looking for a PIB here. Again, this was all previously disturbed, but once this gets established, you have a PIB shown here, and there is.
So there won't be
you'll
any
see those
work.
X's.
Yep, so there won't be any work done.
So I'm thinking I'm going to need another. I'll be putting another row of rocks here, but they won't be so tall this time. They'll be this tall to sort of. That will become a new PIB along that 50-foot buffer line that I had always that we had talked about. And I think there's some verbiage in the order of conditions about this gets wildflower.
Right, yeah,
some
that's
kind
right,
of
that's what I was,
conservation
that
mix.
was kind of what I was getting at. Was it gonna be allowed to grow wild?
Yeah, that is the intent that I think you guys wanted. It's not the
'Cause
best
it
for me, but I think I sort of have to stay on that path.
Yeah, because it looks like it's mowed right now.
Yes. Just, yeah, it's being mowed now.
I think Sue, you see any issues with that?
So.
I think I'm good with it. Commission
So with it, change
comments?
conditions.
So,
Conditions change.
if you're good with that,
You only get
let me keep going. I was, if you go back to the,
request.
well, wait here. You'll see that I pulled the toe of this wall back. It's like 15 to almost 20 feet here. And if you go back to the picture, you'll see that I saved what I thought were some significant trees. I didn't dig around them, and this is just a boulder, it's rolled close to it. Go to the other picture. Anyways, I pulled back from that. Nah, that's her old wall. That's cool.
So that was existing.
Back up a little more.
Another one. This one here. So that's. So I'm way back here. Well, I'm 20 feet, 15 feet back. So.
That's 15, 20 feet from the trunk?
No, the ECB's on the other side of that tree.
Oh, so you pulled it back.
That tree
you were
was
saying.
slated to get cut. I didn't have it in my heart to do. It's a beautiful red oak tree.
Did you it's not buried. So.
It's not buried. I didn't touch the roots at all. And this, like, these couple rocks are one rock that is they're set there behind it.
And it's leaning in the right way, too.
It's leaning away from what the house would be, like all the things. I couldn't cut it. So, anyways,
So
that's
what was
I.
the question?
Yeah. So go back to the plan.
So Craig has set the hook.
So what I'm looking for is like sort of a little swapperoo here. You'll see the whole wall is outside of what the wall was going to be. And I guess what I'm looking for, I just was scaling it here. I have like 400 feet that I pulled it out of the immediate buffer zone, and I guess I'm looking to swap that with this little corner right around the house. So essentially, instead of this being this arbitrary, well, it's not an arbitrary line, it's the 50-foot buffer zone line. What I'm looking for, this was supposed to be PIB'd again. I'm looking to use the top of the wall, which I'm going to have to do a fence along there because of its height. So I'm going to have to put like a split rail fence or rocks along the top of the wall here, which to me, I'm considering this like an equal trade, if you will. And I think it's more valuable because this is closer to the wetlands, this is further away. I'm hoping you'll look at it like that. And then after this corner, we'll go back to that radius as the original plan showed. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, so just coming around.
I just, like right here, you got like 5 feet, like and I'll probably, the way the grades are here, I'd have to put a wall here. There's no one you wouldn't get a lawnmower around the corner
So
of the
you want
house.
it to the top of the stone, yeah.
To the top of the wall, that's there. Yeah, no, that's from the corner of the proposed house. Even at that, this is 20 scale. You're 10 feet off the corner of the house, even with that. 15 at the most, depending on which house we use. So that's the other thing. Like, we haven't even built this house.
Did you
It's
use two
just
corners and triangulate?
Yeah. No, because I'll have the surveyors do it. It'll be GPS.
Are you guys,
So the
you guys
current,
okay with that?
what you guys approved, this on the scale here, there's 3 feet between the corner of the house and what would be a PIB.
And you just want to extend it to 10
I want to
feet?
extend it to the top of the wall. It just seems natural to do, and that comes out, then it's 12 feet off the corner of the house. And again, I just saying, I think that would be amenable to you guys. And actually, Matt said this sort of maybe too, if of course I'd have to run it by you, but he thought you might be amenable to that, given that I pulled the base away and you're flip-flopping it.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable to me.
He totally showed that tree to get Ed on board. He totally did.
Well, since you asked, I have a similar situation at the next house over, although it never had any of this replication stuff. So I've just, instead of grading down to the wetlands, I have a wall there instead, which I've always sort of thought you guys liked that more than the gradient from the house straight down to the wetland. And it creates a nice PIB. It makes the backyard actually flat and usable. And I'm not encroaching towards the wetland any.
So we're talking about another lot?
Yeah, I didn't bring it up. I figured we'd see how this went.
Yeah, because we don't have that on the agenda.
No.
So we can't really talk about it tonight.
No, I guess I'm asking in general if this is, if you would rather to see a wall, or would you rather see the sharp grading down and then?
I think a wall is preferable. Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as the project change requests, if we can get a motion to approve that as discussed.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Cool.
Through the chair, can I just make
Yeah.
one comment?
Wait, Ted's
No, she can go first.
I think this comes up all the time where we get, like, everybody's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll put the PIB there. And we can see that it's like, 3 feet, 5 feet. We all know that the lawnmower's not gonna get there. It's just, it comes up all the time, and all the applicants are like, oh yeah, it's fine, we'll build it. And then they come back with that change later, like.
That they've put a wall in.
No, and just the distance from the corner,
Oh, yeah.
from the buildings to the
Well,
PIB
that's
when it's
right.
close.
If-
And we keep saying, it's really, really close. You guys sure you can put a PIB there? I'm like, yes, of course we
Well,
can.
sure, you can, but then the homeowner's gonna roll it over or hire someone and he's gonna fill it in. The way I have it,
Right,
wall.
this makes more sense, but I think in the future, we just need to be
yeah.
cognizant of that
The
because.
other thing is, maybe the house doesn't get as close to the PIB, and then a lawnmower goes around.
Right.
Well, this one was unique in that it was an existing house
Right, no,
down.
I'm speaking more generally.
It's
Yeah.
always, it's like,
Right, because this house is completely inside the 100-foot, if you'd notice. Well, it's almost completely inside. Anyways,
I do have another.
never mind.
We briefly mentioned the blue wall cutting off to the, I presume, east, but I don't know if we are north-centered.
on the right.
No, keep going down. That goes into the next lot.
Oh, yeah, that's a separate,
Is that built yet? Is that proposed? Because I
Yeah, no,
think
that's built.
part of
That's
that is
that-
on this lot, isn't it?
um,
Where's the
I
lot
think this
line?
is a lot line, but it's, this is a goofy one. There's, a weird, they're like gerrymandered lots, so I think there's like a lot in between this, or this is an easement, because there's a wetland system here, her lot's over there, this lot is here. These are property corners.
Okay, all right. Because
So
I
there
didn't
is,
know,
I forget if this is another lot, or if it's an easement for drainage or
It was an
something.
easement, wasn't it?
it looked, the way I was reading it, and I think I read it wrong, that part of that wall is in the lot we just discussed. And if
well-
that were true, I would want to have that discussion before we say this lot looks good. But it sounds like it's
Gotcha.
not.
It's definitely not in this lot, other than it attaches to it, because I'm built on the line
Okay.
here.
Great.
Through the chair.
Okay, yes.
Can we just ask her to just give me a revised plan
Yep.
with the new PIB location?
If you don't mind, I'll have someone more professional than myself draw it. And,
That's fine.
yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, yeah. Do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, snow, 80 Pine Island Road, this is an informal discussion. I can't believe that on this trails, that bore didn't catch that water, outstanding resource, water. Independent. That's a huge site. Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Just want to thank Anna. She's helped us to at least get this far. So, reason I'm here is that's my reality. January 15th at 12:30 in the morning. So, our lake house burned.
Wow.
So-
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it happens. It's,
Especially my mother got out.
yeah, his mother got out, we lost pets and stuff, but
How did the
everybody
fire
else got
start?
out. Heat trace on a pipe in the bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Well, luckily no one was hurt.
Nope, no one was hurt. So, non-conforming lot, What we did was, when this burned, we had a common well between the two properties. And because we renovated this small house, lived in it while we built our big house in 2001, 2002. This one had the well troll, the controls, the power. So we did an emergency dig to the well to get it twinned in, put a new well troll in my house to get water, because pretty necessary. After we did that, and I actually contacted Kim while that was going on, but she came out on the 9th, and we did a walkthrough. She determined that there was no need for Concom action on 78, just to reseed it in the spring, and that would be fine. She said there was no immediate action needed on 80 to mitigate anything that was caused by the fire department or the fire. She said it's not gonna go anywhere, so.
Okay.
So she said to file what she called, I guess, the short form. And she gave us some direction. Find my glasses.
So that was to stabilize the area after the
Well,
fire?
correct, but
and
there was no-
And to make the connection?
To make the connection, the well is actually drilled in front of 78. So it's on the 78 property. We just dug a hole and twinned the piping back together to go back just to 78.
Okay.
So she basically said 78 is not a problem, not necessary to come before the board.
Okay.
And she said that we didn't have to do any action because I didn't know if that you would want silt barrier and stuff up around the burned house. She said that wasn't necessary.
Okay.
So we got to that point, and let me see. So for 80, she advised us that we had done full Conservation Commission, full septic, everything else was all done in 2001, 2002, while we were building both properties. We added a small addition to 80, we added a deck to 80, we put a septic system in 80, abandoned the old cesspool, the old well. We did all of that work. So what her suggestion was to get the ZBA drawing, which I have to do for ZBA because I'm trying to change the footprint slightly, which is going to actually come back 2'4" from one corner of the lake and 2'4" from the other, which would be the new foundation. So what I'm doing is I'm squaring off a building that in 1910 was a horse barn, and then it had a kitchen added onto it, and then it had a front porch added onto it, all long before Conservation Commission was here. When we added the bathroom and the mechanical room and the deck, that went through Concom.
Okay.
So she said that she would be able to utilize the existing plans that we had from that 2001, 2002, because the only thing that changed is the house burned. And then she would utilize the ZBA to show the actual where the new structure is going to sit. And there is no way to give any buffer zone anywhere there. I have another set of pictures here that show the corner of the house. It's all close.
So this is the house that burned.
That's
Lot
the house
80,
with the
number
overlay,
80.
with the overlay of the,
So the hashed is what was
the
existing?
hashed is what is existing, correct. So if you look at those blank corners on the street side, the right, the left, and then a small section on the front, those we're looking to square the foundation off, basically. I believe it's going to be 24 by 28. It's going to be a tiny house.
So you're pulling the front, so
Back
the
to-
edge of the lake, you're pulling that
Back
back.
2 foot.
Yeah.
It's 2'4" by measure. I believe Mark Winot called it 2 feet.
Okay.
And then from the lake, which is also, there's, for all intents and purposes, lake on 3 sides of that house. So
Okay.
then we're pulling back the house on the left side of the house from the street, 2'4". So the foundation, non-permeable foundation, will be actually 2'4" in 2 directions away from the water. It's only going to fill in those blank squares. And those are the base building is 16 by maybe 24. It's all oddball, because it's all been additions over the years. So what we're looking to do is, now that we've redone the well, we got a well plan from Mark Winot, which I haven't submitted it to the board because I just had it done today, actually. And you guys can look at that if you want. And I've already talked with Board of Health, and he said that if he can get the footage away from the septic, which we can, then he'll be able to approve the well.
There should be one in the box.
That's okay if you don't have one. So this right here is the new footprint of the house.
That's correct.
So you're pulling it back a little bit here.
Yep, and we want to put a porch on the side of it, but the porch will just be on pillars. It's not going to be foundation.
Over here?
Correct. It's only 6 foot, 6 foot by the side of the house. And I have the drawings of the house, if you want to look at that. I had to do the elevation drawings for the town, so I don't have a set of blueprints, but I have a conceptual drawing.
Thanks. So as part of the work, I mean, are you only building the house? Are you doing any kind of changes to drainage?
We're not going to do any changes to drainage. We're not going to change the septic. All we're going to do is recover the 4-inch pipe that goes down through the ground, which it will be in the new foundation, and recover the electrical line that went to the well pump, cut those off, rerun them to the house, put a new septic pump in, obviously. So the septic system is not going to change. It's all been engineered and approved. It's just going to be reconnected to the new 1-bedroom house.
Okay.
So when I went to the building department, they said that they can give me a building permit that day to rebuild in the footprint that I had. I knew I'd have to go to Concom to do anything anyways, because all the work's going to be happening within feet of the wetlands, the water. But I wanted to pull it back from the lake and basically square it off, because a square is a lot cheaper to build than what I have there.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it seems okay to me, so is there a specific, are you asking whether this can be, what the process is, or?
I'm not really asking what the process is. Why I wanted an informal is because there became confusion if I went with what Kim had told me when we did our walkthrough. And now obviously Kim's not here right now, and then there was a conflict of what she wanted as to what I was basically informed of at the town. In other words, they didn't want to use the combined drawings. And I'm trying to save money, basically, because I have drawings that were done in 2001 that show both properties, the 78 and the 80.
No, I think, so, when you originally talked to Kim, that was whether you needed to do anything related to fire, right?
She gave me guidance on which form to fill out, which form to ask for, which form to fill out. She told me that she would be leaving on leave.
Okay.
And she said that she could utilize the ZBA plan for showing where the house is.
Yep.
But the other plan is, nothing's changed in the 20 years with the land. It's the same spot.
Okay, I mean, Mark Winot, this is an updated plan that Mark Winot put together, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I think that can be used with the filing. You pulled it back from the lake, the 2 feet, which is good. So, yeah, I think it's okay to use this plan from my perspective.
And that's basically where we wanted to do the informal, just to get a feel of, my brother is a Concom guy and an environmental guy, so he said, get an informal, do that, find out what because there's nothing conforming on this lot. We're never going to get it.
Right.
So, because the original drawing has all the bales, all of the lake protection on it for both houses. And that's
Yeah,
all.
it's all previously disturbed, it was grass, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And behind the house right now, our plan was to use basically the gravel driveway as our staging area, but there's not going to be much to stage. We don't have enough depth. We can't dig down deep enough for a full foundation. It would definitely be a crawl space foundation.
Right.
Because I'm not a big fan of slabs. I won't build a slab.
Yeah, I don't even know if, you can try to put a crawl space in. You're not gonna have much
maybe-
area to crawl.
Maybe 3 feet, yeah, it's not a big space, correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right, yeah, I think using this plan is fine. I think what's proposed, informally is fine. But I'll open up to the other commissioners for comments. I think this would just be a fairly straightforward notice of intent filing.
So he had said that Kim had advised an RDA would be sufficient.
Oh, an RDA.
So that's that's the application that we have right now. And Sue had given him some feedback. And that's when he'd asked for the informal in front of you to see whether you agreed with Sue's comments or whether you were okay to move forward as is.
Okay. So Sue, what were your comments? Sorry.
Well, they were basically that it looked like there was an expanded footprint, so I thought, I didn't say definitely one way or the other.
Oh, I know, I'm here just to hear the
right,
input.
Exactly, yeah.
There's nobody's an enemy, I gotta get the input so I know where I stand and how to proceed.
That perhaps the commissioner would want a notice of intent, and then just provide more detail on the form. Even if you did the RDA, there wasn't much detail on, what you were.
Well, the problem is, like, I believe it was mentioned about trees, and they all got thermally burned. We haven't cut any of them down because we're gonna see which lives and which dies, but there are no trees in the footprint. Yeah.
Yeah, or anything, like it just didn't provide a lot of detail, so, like in the narrative, if you will, like it didn't say you're building a deck, it just said a house, didn't say the square footage or things like that, so, just provides a little bit more so the commission will have more information.
Yeah, so when you had your conversation with Kim, you had basically told her that your plan was to square it off?
Correct. And we discussed that, and we discussed that she said that she would need me to provide you a staging area, but can I just mark that on my drawing? Because I don't want to disturb, I have a pretty nice raised bed garden that right behind the house that I don't want to disturb it,
You can mark the location on the plan, yeah.
Because there's not much room to stage anything. It's going to have to be delivered day of use for all intents and purposes. Any gravel or any materials like that.
Not a lot of room there.
There's not a lot of room.
Okay, yeah, if the direction that Kim gave you was the RDA, I think I'm good with that.
No, I kind of wonder if it should have an NOI just to make sure all the conditions are there. I'm just more concerned about the staging, the erosion controls. You can use a plan and stuff. I'm just wondering if the RDA will be able to capture all that stuff just because of the proximity to the lake.
Well, we have the drawing from the 2001 that shows all the erosion control and all of the lake protection already on the drawing.
Yeah, I'm not saying you need a drawing. It's just the matter of which you file it to make sure that everything is on the record for when you guys actually do construction. That's all we're really talking about now. I'm not saying I don't think it's permittable. I just want to make sure that all that stuff is recorded.
One more thing. There weren't any buffer zones on there, so.
They can't. There's no room.
On the drawing to show where it is.
Well, the locally regulated, buffer zones could go on there.
I believe the buffer zones on the drawings are in print, but there's nowhere to put them because there is no. I'm totally non-compliant lot, but there was a pre-existing structure on the property.
Yeah, but I think what Sue is saying is just so that so the 50-foot and the 100-foot.
So they're on that original drawing.
But she's saying, if this is the plan you're going to use, they should be indicated on
that's why I was here for guidance, because I want to use my ZBA drawing, which is typically not a Conservation Commission acceptable drawing, in combination with the 2001 drawing. Because everything on that is the same. It has all the buffer zones, it shows the septic system, and he's just put the septic system on his new drawing that shows the well only to prove the distances for the Board of Health. So that's what, my guidance from her was to utilize both, because nothing on the property has changed since 2001 other than the house burned. And you have that in record.
I mean, I guess if they're both going to be submitted as part of the project record, they'll be on file. So, I mean, my preference would be, you know, to have it on, just have Marco not, you know.
Yeah, but everything's dollars, and the Scottish blood starts to boil when I open my wallet.
No, I get it.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna end up with a mortgage on something that I didn't intend to have a mortgage on. What?
It stinks.
I know, because,
Some of the stuff can get drawn,
Yeah, you
hand
could
drawn
hand
on
draw.
this for this process, because you'll have to do an as-built anyway.
Correct.
And that as-built should show all the stuff, including where your septic is, where your water is, all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
so
you'll
if
need
you
for
can.
everybody. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with the hand drawn on this stuff for the initial filing. I think it's just a matter of what.
well,
what kind of
obviously you will
filing
end
it
up with an as-built as a completed drawing, which
Right.
I'll have Mark not do it off of the two drawings.
is. You
Yeah.
can, like in our conditions, we can we say the as-built needs to have blah, 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 but.
So through the chair, as-bills are only required for COC process through an NOI, not for an RDA.
Right. Yeah,
That's what I think NOI is.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Because otherwise it's not filed with the,
We could just
Registry
create
of
foundation
Deeds.
only as required for the building department, but you
Yeah.
wouldn't get one with any additional details.
Yeah. If you were building same exact footprint, I probably wouldn't have done RDA, but since it's a little bit different. NOI, but that's just the filing mechanism.
yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward NOI, but, you know, I think the plan needs to be recorded with the, you know, legally recorded. Okay.
So what does that mean? So in other words, is the way I'm proceeding gonna work for your approval on the project?
So I think what we're saying is the preference, so it wouldn't be an RDA, it would be an NOI.
So I gotta pay for that also?
Yeah.
Now that, yeah,
It's
that's
a
what I'm saying, is
different
I've already
application.
paid for one.
Well, you can
You'd have
fill
to
it out
refile anyway.
yourself.
What's that now?
You can fill it out, the form, the NOI form, the
Oh.
notice of intent.
Okay.
yourself.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, but what I'm saying is I already paid for this other form. So, I'm trying not
the
to open my
filing
wallet to spend all
fees.
my money on the town of Hopkinton, I wanna spend it on building my house.
We can just amend it, you know.
Yeah.
So what was
File
applied,
already?
I mean, the NOI is a little bit more, it's not that much more than the RDA, right?
I think the consultant fees are quite a bit more, and then he's got state filing fees as well.
That's why she had directed me to go the route she was going.
No, I know. I mean,
I think you have to go with the other.
yeah, I mean, I think the precedent, and most of the, if not all of the houses we've done on the lake have been through the NOI process, not.
Yeah, they're all friggin' mansions. I'm trying to rebuild after a
Well,
fire.
they're
I
not-
need some
they're not-
relief.
They're not all mansions, but.
Well, the ones I'm looking at as I go by on the pontoon are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our house is about the size of their closet.
right.
So,
But it's just the form that you use and how you file it, but.
but like I
I
said, that's
don't
why
know how
I'm
you
taking
would've-
direction from your agent. That's, I mean, that's why I proceeded the way I did, is I took direction from your agent.
Right.
All right, why don't we do this? I mean, you don't need to come back in, but let's table it for now.
We need to file something.
Well, I'm not here for the final anyway, so I was gonna
Yes, an
hopefully
informal.
book for the informal, so I was hoping to book for the September meeting to.
Yeah, I want to reach out to Kim. and, you know, just kind of get her thought process, just so, you know, I'm comfortable with it.
I agree, but I mean, you still have to file something and pay fees. You haven't done any of that stuff yet. We still have to do public notice.
I
get it
paid
on
the
agenda.
fees for this.
You
I
filed-
did pay the
you did
fees.
file the
You
idea.
did.
File the
Or-
RA
yeah.
and didn't know.
I don't believe the fees have been cashed yet,
Why would we have an informal discussion if something's already been filed?
because Sue, through the chair, Sue made the determination the application was incomplete because of this missing information. So
Okay.
Mr. Snow asked to come and speak to you guys to see if you agreed with Sue,
To
or if you
just,
could proceed as
like I said, I'm not trying to put one against the other. I just want to come in
I
when we
know.
come in and it gets finalized, and then I can move on to go play with the ZBA.
Yeah. Yeah, let me reach out to Kim this week, you know, the next couple of days. And she's on maternity leave, but she's available by email. You know, she usually gets back to us.
And then what, check in with Anna to see if
Yeah.
I can get on the docket for the next one?
So
Yeah,
unfortunately, it's too late for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. So
No,
we'd be looking
time's
at
on my
October-
side.
October 8th.
I've already gone gray. Can't get any grayer.
yeah, just, okay. So, yeah, you can just touch base with, you know,
I'll touch
hopefully
base with Anna.
yeah, later on in the week, you know, hopefully I'll hear back from Kim in the next few days.
Yeah, and then if we have to change the form, we change the form. As long as she hasn't cashed the check on that, then my blood doesn't boil as bad.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
we wouldn't,
credit it either way.
Yeah, we're not gonna charge you for both.
Yeah.
You know, we would apply what you've already submitted to, you know, if it has to be an NOI, we'd apply that to the NOI, but let's just get clarification, on this, and, you know, touch base with Anna later on in the week, and, we should have some information for you by then.
Right. And do they have the availability of the old file from, because Kim, before she left, she did recover the old file so that it's available to you guys.
Yeah.
We have it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Snow.
Yep, you have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Okay, the trails, Zero Legacy Farms, this is the violation discussion. All right.
Peter Bemis, engineering design, with Ben Gately. I know Becca Solomon's in the audience. So, I don't know if 60
Hey, Becca.
I just want you to know that Becca's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and Mr. Gately, thank you for coming in.
Yep.
You know, I appreciate it. So at the you know, we've had some issues at the site, you know, obviously. I think some of it is, you know, there's a, you know, a couple different factors that are involved here. The extreme, you know, precipitation events we're having, you know, some of the design issues at the site that, you know, other engineers did, you know, may not have been designed properly. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of the contractors getting ahead of themselves and not keeping up with some of the, you know, erosion controls at the site and being proactive. You know, what's frustrating, I think, for our commission is that, you know, the project's in Hopkinton, but Ashland is getting the brunt of, you know, the erosion that's running off-site. It's a drinking water supply for both Ashland and Hopkinton that's getting impacted. So, you know, I have to say that we haven't had any significant precipitation events this summer. So when we had this latest incident, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, like, come on, guys. I mean, there's no reason for this, you know. There's no reason for it. And, you know, I think at the last meeting, you know, we had talked to you, Mr. Bemis, about this, you know, when we were discussing releasing the other 4 units. You know, I realized this was later on in the week that this happened, but, you know, I went out there, there's a stockpile at the end of Weston Road that's there, you know, kind of where that access road goes down towards Howe Street. You know, there weren't any hay bales around that, you know. So, I mean, you know, we've had this discussion before, and I guess, like, what do we need to do to really, you know, impress upon you guys that, you know, this can't continue to happen, you know? It can't continue to happen.
I just want to explain, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole nother section of this development that has to be done, right?
Right. And it will not be done the way this one was done. That much I can assure you.
And, you know, it's difficult for us as a commission, you know, it's difficult because we're working with Ashland, it's difficult because of the, you know, how this has gotten escalated to the town managers, you know, so it just makes the whole thing very convoluted for everyone, right? And it makes it more difficult and costly for you guys, you know, going forward. And, you know, we want to work as partners with you guys on this. You know, we're not here to try to be punitive, and, you know, we just don't want these things to continue to happen, you know. So I guess I'll leave it at that. The other commissioners have anything they want to add, but, you know, I guess I want to hear from you guys, like...
Well, I would like to explain, but I don't know if you want to go to commissioners first or just explain. I wasn't here, unfortunately, for that event. It was Friday night. I was at the Cape. We didn't have any rain at all. My son lives in Southborough, so all I know is what happened there. But I did get the record. So it was 0.6 inches of rain in 23 minutes. So that was the problem. And yet, on the 5th, 6th event, was 4.6 inches of rain those 2 days. So spread out over 2 days, we had 4.6 inches of rain. But we didn't have any problems at the site, and I monitored it several times. And that's what I have pictures of. I wasn't here, so I only got the pictures from Ashland. But I would like to share them with you because, first, just because it's very helpful, I think, just to see them. I have several, so I can just distribute them.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at the pictures.
I just want to, I know, it is.
I'm not really looking for an explanation. I guess
I want to give one only because I know what they're so hard.
We have an explanation.
Yeah, it's just so hard at this site that, like, this
is, the reason this has happened is not for lack of effort and dollars spent on mitigation and many things over the last year. I mean,
sorry. Yep, sorry.
So, yeah, no, I'm just saying that, you know, there's...
No, I know.
So I think there is I think an explanation for this.
Yes.
You could decide, you know, whether you think it's a good enough one, but, well, we realize there's zero tolerance for this type of thing, and we've done everything I think we can.
And I mean, we've acknowledged to Mr., I mean, this was a difficult site, you know, we said that at the outset,
Right.
you know, 4 years ago, or whatever it was. You know, the elevations there are very steep. You know, unfortunately, everything was clear cut, you know, at the get-go, which I don't think was, you know, the appropriate way to do it, but, you know, in my mind, you know, what, I just don't want to hear that I wasn't there.
No, I wasn't there to see it personally, but I wanted to describe to you what happened. So Bob Lamoureux is my new inspector at Beta. I was explaining to Bob that we sometimes have events where we would pull the silt sacks, because what happens is the silt sack is fine. So the silt sacks were in actually for the 5th, 6th event, because the rain, although there were maybe a couple, Sue, because you came out, and I showed you where they weren't there because they were at low points. So when we have sags in the roadway system, they would flood into the people's properties. So we would pull those. And what's happening is that water then gets into that detention basin 1 that I showed you the pictures of. And we hold it there, and we're not letting that water out. In the case of that storm that evening, we weren't expecting to get that storm event with that intensity. So we left all the bags in. So what happened is it bypassed all the bags. It went down to Unit 49, which was one of the ones you had released, all the water now in Western Lane. So you're taking the entire road going into one lot that was not designed to see any water. went right through the yard, went right through a hole in the backyard. We had a silt fence at the top of slope, it's shown in the picture there.
Yeah.
It went under the slope, it went through the embankment and pushed all of the silt out against the road. And that was in the pictures that the town of Ashland had. And I don't mind sharing those pictures, because I'm not, I'm not happy with them, but that's what happened. It pushed the silt out through the embankment, through the stones, to the street. So there was no longer did we have protection at the top, because it didn't hit it, and at the bottom it blew it out. So that water then went down to the treatment plant, and they took a picture of it. After that event, I did put erosion control in along the street. That's the new one that's there. And then we went and we sealed this entire area. All those rocks were removed, and we redid it. We had never had a problem up to this point with that. Even during probably the hurricane way back in '21, that wasn't like that then, so it wouldn't have been a good comparison. But all the events after that, so everything through this winter of '22 and this year, we've never had a problem with that slope. It gave way with this event because none of the water was collected in our street system. It got blown out through one area. We corrected it immediately when Sue saw me the other day. We had put a compost sock against the edge of the road because we didn't want the water to get diverted, have any chance to get diverted if we had another high-intensity storm event. So I'm sorry, I am trying, and I would also say that I gave you a picture of what a house lot looks like. It trails. We finish a house, we put chips down across the entire yard, and we put stone against the street. We pave the driveway as fast as we can. I mean, I've changed kind of the dynamic in how I approach a project because of this. And I told you on the NOAA data, I won't do a design project without thinking about 5 years and 10 years from now, not today. I mean, we think like that. So I am trying. I am sorry. I was embarrassed. I was before the Ashland Commission last night. Said the same thing. I'm sorry. But I just survived the 4.6 storm event over 2 days with no problems whatsoever, and you can see the readings. Our site actually has a lower turbidity reading than the background.
So I guess the question I have is like, where did the sediment originate from?
It's in that embankment. That's what I'm saying. So the natural soils on this site are silty sands. And once they go into suspension, they're bad. So we have to seal it. And that's why I say I gave you the picture of what we do on the surface. We actually put the chips down because we don't want that water to get intermixed with that soil because it's going to transport it. And once it goes into suspension, it's very difficult to get back out. It takes days to precipitate out. We took this apart.
Soil that's in the embankment that's getting washed out?
Yes, sir. But we took that apart, and I think if you look at another picture, you'll see that's completed now, because we took it totally apart. I'm sorry for reaching here.
This one here?
Yeah, go up one more, please.
This is along West
That's the slope. That's Wilson, and that's the slope, and this has been covered with chips now. We built a stone dam back up here, too, because that's where the silt fence was.
So, I mean, the question that comes to mind that I have is when, the construction's done and all, you guys are off-site and all the erosion controls are pulled up. I mean, if we keep getting these storm events and water's running down.
But that slope was never designed to receive water. It was diverted because of the volume, because of the intensity of rainfall, and it did not go into any catch basins. Because the silt sacks are in there. Literally, it just runs right past them, and it went down into a house lot and out. And we had control at the top of slope, but it bypassed that, and we had control at the bottom of slope, and it had been functioning up to this point. But because it was over half an inch of rain in 20 minutes, that's a phenomenal amount of water.
I mean, that's the
new
reality.
It just blew it right out.
That's the new reality.
Yes, and again, so instead, we didn't try to fix this. We took it totally apart and put it back together again. Because, and why didn't I build it that way the first time? Sure, if I had known that could happen, I would have done that. But now, this slope up here, that's going to get planted with trees. So when you go down Wilson Street at the top of slope, there's going to be a series of trees that goes through there. That would have been the finished product. And that slope, the way it was there, would have been fine. Because it wasn't the water that fell on it that was the problem. It was the water that ran through it that was the problem.
Okay.
And again,
I think we got it.
I apologize. We have systems that we're going to put in place to fix this. I'm trying, and also realize, we moved probably 20,000 yards with the units that you released for us. Those piles are gone now. There's a very small pile that you referred to at the corner of Rhodey. That used to be all the way up that whole side of the street.
Yeah.
We're down to a very small volume now.
Okay.
So
All right, so
I would just
I mean-
ask you to please, allow us to continue, and
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
of course, we're gonna allow you to continue.
Okay.
And, I mean, Mr. Gately, the amount of time and money that you guys are spending on this is not lost on us. We get it. We know that this has been a big detriment on, you as a developer, holding up the project. But you have to understand it from our perspective and frustration, because this is all ending up down in Ashland, so it's embarrassing for us as a commission, right? Because, I get, and Anna gets, and Sue gets an email from Becca, we've had another, incident, so, we have to respond, and, the Ashland Conservation Commission, I'm sure, they've been very polite and reasonable with us, but I'm sure they're thinking, like, what the heck are these Hopkinton folks doing up there, I mean, this is like too much, so, I mean, my final comment is I would just ask you guys to, try to anticipate and look at this, because, this just can't continue to happen every time. I mean, we're going to get these extreme precipitation events. It's just a fact of life now.
It is.
And I will say that, we had this incident, then the following week we had another rain event. It wasn't as much rainfall, but I did go out there and, it was in much better condition after you'd put the silt fence up along the road. I mean, there was still a little bit kind of coming out, but it wasn't.
Getting through the fence, right.
Getting through the fence. And washing into the woods, but it wasn't as extreme as it was during this event.
Which is why we took it apart, and now
Yeah.
it's rebuilt. So if you go by now, you won't see that.
So, I mean, that's my thoughts. I'll open it up to the other commissioners. I know everyone's frustrated with this. I know you're frustrated, Ashland's frustrated, the town managers and the DPWs are frustrated. We need to make sure that this doesn't keep happening, and, that's, Mr. Bemis, that's your responsibility.
Yes, sir.
As the site manager and engineer, as the owner.
And that's
Mr.
why we're working
Gately,
towards these improvements that I showed you earlier, and the one part that what was holding it up, as I told you, DCR was in a barter to a piece, and we didn't know where the boundary was. My son was a sleuth at the registry and found the necessary paperwork. We did a boundary survey, and we actually realized the pipe is on Ashland's land instead of we thought it extended on the DCR, so I don't need DCR anymore, because I couldn't get anyone to sign my application there. They wouldn't even entertain it. It's unfortunate. I lost a month trying to do it what I thought was the right way, and I just have to give up. But we're going to be replacing, infrastructure on the other side of Wilson Street that's on Town of Ashland land. That's why Ashland didn't want to sign the permit yet, because they want the work done. And I'm not saying anything that, Becca's not aware of. She's been involved in the review as well. So, Town Manager Michael Herbert is prepared to sign that application now. I'm meeting with Doug Small, the DPW Director, on Thursday to finalize the detail.
All right, got it. So,
thank you.
yeah, so Mr. Gately, we just wanted to have you here so you can understand the gravity of it. We're frustrated. I understand Mr. Bemis has been doing, a lot of work out here. You're spending a lot of money, but we really need to kind of nip this in the bud and make sure it doesn't keep happening.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone else has comments or questions.
My only comment is I was through there a week ago, Tuesday, when it was raining, and based upon what I had seen previously, I said, geez, it doesn't look bad.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. I know you were there on the worst of times with me, so I do appreciate the comment. It was pretty embarrassing to be out there earlier, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Mr.
Great,
Gately.
thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, Gray, 215 Wood Street. This is an exemption request. Good evening.
Evening. So I'm Dave Gray, the relatively new owner at 215 Wood Street. It's in
All right.
Woodville.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. So there is a pool in my backyard that's had a liner failure.
Mhm.
And I would like the option while I'm looking at refurbishing to consider taking the pool out at this point.
Okay.
Based on preliminary quotes, it looks like it's relatively similar cost, and obviously long-term I'm looking at operating cost, which doesn't feel like the right thing to do, maybe to put 25,000 gallons of new water in that pool right now. So the issue is that the boundary, I think this is the old boundary drawing.
Do you need the other plan?
Yeah, so this was an old boundary from 2002, but Anna found a new buffer,
This one?
drawing. Yes, that's the one. So it looks like the buffer goes, it doesn't go through the pool itself, but it does go past the concrete on the far end of the pool, and there's the square area back there as a pad, this area where all the pump
A
equipment
little bump
is.
out there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm not fully sure of where and why the boundary changed, but that's what it looks like right now. So thus the exemption request, because I would want to take out that entire area and replace it with lawn.
Okay. And it's lawn around that pool area now?
Yeah, it's all lawn around the pool area.
Okay, I think it's fairly straightforward.
And then the fence.
Yeah, and one additional request, this is unrelated, but I'd like to be able to put in some fence along my driveway, which runs from the road kind of up around this area across my front yard. So it's largely cosmetic. There is one issue I'm having, though, that would be helpful with. I have a lot of turnarounds in my driveway. I think it's because it looks like a road or a private road, which is all well and good, but I have some issues with people doing three-point turns and coming off the driveway and doing some damage. And especially on this side, I've got some wet ground, so I end up with that being torn off pretty frequently.
So you're planning on putting like a split rail fence?
Yeah, it would be a split rail fence is what I'd like to get quoted out. And again, there was a photo too. I don't know if that's helpful or necessary, but
No, I think that's...
Yeah, through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mr. Wright came in and talked to Sue and I in the office. So the removal of the pool, I was willing as a staff member to approve the exemption request. The reason I asked him to come in to see you guys is the fence, even though I don't believe it's shown on this plan, is within 25 feet of the wetland.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so that is why I asked him to, it was not something that I could approve administratively, that it was something that you guys would have to approve or say he needed a permit application for.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, yeah. Yeah, I'm good with the split rail fence. That's, everyone okay with that? Yeah. Okay.
Great, thank you.
And it's an exemption request, so we don't need to vote on it.
I feel like everybody did their homework, they're saving trees, they're putting up split rail fence, I know everybody's favorite things.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, Harahan, 234 Hayden Road, this is a project change request.
Hi,
Good evening.
my name is Kritika. I'm currently in Wellesley and we have a new home coming up in Hopkinton.
Yep, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. This is my first experience with a town hall, so I hope I'm able to convey what I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's beautifully coming up, and this is the driveway which was approved by the commission, and here there is a big bush. So I even took a picture recently, like when when I'm coming out, I see the cars coming out in the very last minute.
Yes, it's actually like it's like a dead tree that the bush is kind of growing
Yeah.
up, isn't it?
And I just can't, I don't have visibility. Oh yeah, I don't, when I come out, I don't have visibility for the last minute cars coming. So that was kind of bothering. So I just wanted to, and the contractor said that nothing can be removed without your permission. So this is really blocking my visibility. When I have to, it's like the last minute when the car comes, I see. By then I have to wait.
Yeah, so what are you proposing,
If I go
or asking if, like, you want
Clear
to
out.
clear that whole area or just near the street?
So clear out this portion to create visibility.
I think my sense is you probably don't need to clear out that entire area to get visibility.
Yeah, whatever it takes to just for me to see the road and get the cars, just to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so you could.
Invasive, underbrush.
It looks like grape, maybe?
Oh, this is my neighbor, 236. So he was telling me that these are
Bittersweet.
poisonous.
So there's bittersweet,
grape.
and then there's grapes, and those can easily
And
be
poison
removed.
ivy.
Yep.
So, but yes, you're right, at the very, like on the actual street, the very first thing there's a dead tree, and then there's a pole for the electricity.
That's dead.
But yes,
Yeah.
the majority of those things are just invasive. There is maybe a couple small trees, but those can stay.
That's healthy, right, back there?
Yeah, that tree out,
Yeah, the furthest out into the street is the dead tree.
yeah, that's dead.
This thing, yeah.
Yep. And if you look at it, there's like no leaves on it right now. I mean, it's completely,
Looks like it's even topped, maybe.
yeah, the invasives and the grapes, I mean, I'm good with removing those.
Yeah.
That dead tree, do you have a picture of it?
Yeah.
But do you have a picture of the top of the tree?
Well, this is the topmost I got.
Yeah. I actually drove by it today and I was looking at it because I knew you were coming before us.
Yeah.
Um,
This is the closest I could get. I mean, you can take a look at that picture.
Oops, sorry. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you can kind of see like right there, Carrie. The dead branches, and if she had taken it even higher, it's, I don't know, you want to see it, Ed?
Sure.
I'm so sorry.
Trees?
I
Of
wish
course I
I'd
don't
taken
want-
pictures like printed out. I didn't know what to expect, so. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we certainly don't want you pulling out and getting hit by a vehicle.
Yeah,
so-
it's a main road.
Yeah, no, I know, and the
so-
traffic flies through there,
Yeah.
pretty quick during rush hour. I would just ask that, the healthy trees in the back, like,
That one on the right looks good.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of nice ones, and I don't think those, once you get rid of the invasives, the trees won't interfere with your view.
Okay, sorry, thank
No,
you so
no,
much.
it's okay, thank you.
Like, I think, this dead tree right here,
Yeah, that's the
and then
dead
some of this stuff, if you cleared out some of the brush in here,
Mhm.
I think you'll be able to get visibility. I don't think you need to go in and clear all this.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the commission good
Yeah,
with that?
I agree. Yeah, because that tree on the right looks nice.
Yeah.
This guy, yeah.
Anything that's not blocking the view, I mean, I would love to keep it.
Yeah, yeah, it gives you a little bit of buffer from the house next door too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then did you have another?
Yeah, a couple of other
Yeah.
things. Can you
yeah,
go back to the?
Right now.
So, I got a question
Yeah.
for the future. You purchased this house, this property?
Yeah, we have a purchase and sale.
And we obviously haven't done any COC on this, right?
What is it?
No, it's not
No.
complete yet.
It's under construction.
I know it's under construction, but you purchased it. And there's still an outstanding order of conditions for the work that needs to be done.
Mhm.
So I assume at some point,
Yeah.
we'll be seeing you again.
So why I
Hopefully
want
not the third owner.
to come on early is when the people are doing the work, I as well get them do this, then I move in and then, deal with the.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I would suggest to you that you get from the builder the certificate of completion from us, so that it closes out the permit from Conservation Commission.
Mhm.
It doesn't always happen.
Uh-huh.
So
Before the sales.
I would get that before closing.
Can you repeat that because I'm
It's
very,
a
very.
certificate of completion
Completion.
from the builder, developer.
From the commission first.
That's right, but the builder has to get, developer has to get it because it's in their name.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
Just
make sure,
protects you.
make sure you have him come in and get it.
It
and not-
protects you.
Don't let him push it on you.
Yeah, it protects you, because otherwise you're going to have to be doing it.
Did you understand this? Can you convey it to my husband?
Can you get?
Thank you.
So in other words, they're saying you shouldn't have to deal with it, let the developer.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's like an outstanding building permit. You
Yeah.
gotta get a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get
so
it now.
you have to close this out, but he
Yeah.
he or she should.
Oh, okay.
So-
I think he did
That-
not do it maybe because,
Well, it's not re- he's not ready to do it.
Well,
not
it's not finished yet, so
Yeah, no,
he
it's-
can't.
He's gotta have it,
Yeah.
it's driveway and.
Yeah,
all
I
that
don't
stuff.
think it will bother him, but it will bother me when I drive, so, yeah.
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 You know what we're saying, right?
Because you just signed the PNS, you haven't closed yet, right?
No.
Yeah.
So before closing, make sure he does,
Make
takes
sure he
care of
does
that.
everything
Yeah.
that's required by the commission.
Good to know, thank you.
And if you're not sure, come back and ask.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I'm coming all the way from Wellesley.
That's okay.
I'm the 10th person.
Just don't come during rush hour.
Yeah. So, this is our backyard,
Mhm.
and you know these thin trunk trees, one is like very close to the roof, and from experience, like even with storm, these thin trees just fall off, so we're just worried like if we could take out that one which is too close to the roof.
Oh, I bring the plan up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I can expand a little bit on this. So those trees are adjacent to my backyard, and like in the 4 or 5 years that I've been living next door, we've lost 6 trees. There's actually a big, huge, like empty area where it's just so many of them fallen because the ground is I don't know if it's unusually more moist. I mean, basically they just fall over because they have nothing holding them when it's really wet, and so I think that is a potential risk. But you guys know better than I do about that.
So it's the one right there that's highlighted, Sue? The blue.
I think it's right there.
Yeah, yeah.
What did we say about tree removal? Did we have trees in the order of conditions that were going to be removed? That's not the plan. right?
Yeah, there was.
That's the plan, so here's the 100
Is
foot.
it just past the PIB though? Yeah. I think I'm okay with that.
Towards the house.
Is this the one that we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth?
Yeah, I got denied.
Oh, maybe. Denied and then.
Yeah, and just for your information, right around here, there's like an area that they were all knocked down over time. And I don't know why necessarily that area.
Probably very wet.
It's much more wet than probably the surrounding area.
Yeah, when this originally got proposed, unfortunately, it met the, it fell under the old regs, so the new regs are a lot stricter than when these were originally approved, so. It's on the PIB, are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, my concern
Give
is
it a
there'll be
threat.
one behind it, and then there'll be one behind that, and then
Yeah,
there'll be one behind
I'm
that.
worried
And that
about
has
the
to be
thin
a-
ones, the thin trunks. Like, you know, one thing is, I want a fence anyways, because my kids are 4 and 6, it's a main road, and I don't want them playing outside. So, I don't know if is fence going to help, you know, cover some part of the trees or something, I don't know.
I mean, you can put a fence in along the PIB boundary.
Well, how's the fence right there?
It looks like they were
Yeah, it's
proposing.
on the plan.
Yeah, but they wanted they didn't want a post and
Actually,
rail.
this is already the next house fence, so we just wanted to check if we can just close down that place. Than to just come like that or like that, just.
Oh,
Nope. That fence was supposed to go in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, their fence goes 50 feet down this, and we don't want to construct anything here. We just want to complete it with.
Yeah, we can't, unfortunately. So let me just give you a little bit of background on this project.
Yeah.
The developer that proposed it originally
Mhm.
had brought in a different site plan than this. It was a
Mhm.
bigger house, you know, a bigger yard,
Garage.
a garage. And we told them, you know, this area is just too small, and you're impacting too much of the buffer zone, you know,
Okay.
you know, so it ended up getting denied. You know, he said, I wanted you to vote anyways, we denied it. He came back, resubmitted an additional plan,
Mhm.
which is this configuration. when he came to us, we brought up the points of, there's basically no backyard here, there's no side yard. You know, you're not gonna be able to put fences in along the back. And he was very adamant, well, that's okay, you know, this is, I wanna put the 4-bedroom house in, you know, I don't care about the yard. So unfortunately, and this was relatively recently, a year, maybe a little bit longer ago, maybe a year and a half ago, you know, these were the constraints that the commission put on the site. You know, if you want the bigger house, you know, you're gonna have to, live with a smaller yard, right? And that's what he agreed to. So this is always kind of the problem that the commission has when we're dealing with folks like you, because we told the developer, you know, he sold this off to the builder, right? He's not involved in it anymore. So that, you know, we feel bad because someone like you comes in and says, I want to expand my yard, you know, can I put the fence in? And we have to kind of take a firm stand and say, you know, we can't.
I don't need a garden or anything.
No, I know.
It's just going to cost me more to put a fence like that than to just close it.
I know.
So that's my whole point, because there's already a fence in the next house.
I know.
So, and you know, their fence extends all the way back and all the way, but we don't want to do anything right, and we want to deal with our house first. So just close up, I mean.
Yeah, we unfortunately, man, we can't.
Okay, so what can I do? Because I need to close the thing for my kids, so.
What I would suggest is just, you know, you can put a vinyl fence in rather than a split rail, as long as it's elevated above the ground.
Yes, 6 or 8 inches, yeah.
Just bring it to the side of the house right there.
Here?
Right.
No,
or right
down, go down.
Where my cursor.
And then you have
so
to
right
be
where your
outside the
finger
house.
is, go to the left, bring it to the corner of the house, and then maybe in this area on the other side of the house, up, see where the started, you know, bring that into the corner of the house possibly, so you have a fenced-in area that's safe that your kids can't, you know, run out into the street. You know what I mean?
In the front, what can I do? In the front? Can I put a low fence in the front?
Yeah, like a vinyl fence or a split rail fence? What kind of fence do you have in mind?
It doesn't matter, it's outside.
Yeah, it's outside the buffer zone, so yeah, it doesn't matter.
The bottom of the left is, but.
So I can do this fence, right?
Yeah.
So you can bring that down, yep.
This is okay, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine if you even go, you know, if it's 6 inches above. You can bring it down and across, yeah.
Okay, so this is okay, this is okay, I get here, I need to come till here.
You can even bring it all the way down to the...
Can I complete it here?
Yep.
Or can I go this way and complete it here, the buffer zone?
You can bring it along the buffer zone,
Yeah,
so...
I can bring it along the buffer zone?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I get is from here to here, and this is their fence anyways, and then come like this, and go this and this and that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep.
So I can't complete it here, I understand.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, where that 100-foot buffer line is, and then above bush where that other curved line is, you can do whatever you want in between those two curved
This
lines.
part?
This
Yeah.
buffer and this buffer down here.
Oh, so I can do anything here?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You don't need our permission to
For
do
anything, like
with it.
lawn or garden, okay.
Yeah, you can, if you want to put a garden in there, you could do that.
Yeah. I definitely want to keep it enclosed because it's all jungle, like, it's all woods behind, right? And
Yeah, and you don't want
I
your
have
kids,
very
you
small
don't want your
kids,
kids running
yeah.
out into the road. I understand
So
that.
that's the only reason I wanted permission for fence.
Yep.
But Jeff, just to be, I think you said in the area that's under our jurisdiction, you wanted 6 inches from the ground to the fence.
Right.
So that critters can get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fence can't go all the way to the ground.
Yeah. 6
Okay, I just
inches.
wanted to make sure that was clear.
Thank you. Anything else you have to add on?
No, I think the concern about removing another tree, I think the other trees in the back are far enough. I mean, there's always a risk, obviously, but that one's so close and it's so tall. Just, that would be actually good, just removing that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing that, you know, if you're living here for 10 or 15 years or longer, what's gonna end up happening is those trees in the back is gonna start growing towards the house, because they're coming out towards the sun. So, you'll have to get those pruned, periodically.
Do I need permission for pruning?
Not for pruning,
Okay.
no.
Just to take out some branches leaning on my roof.
Right, so if you're just taking if you're cutting branches, that's fine.
Okay,
But if you're cutting the trees down, you need to come
okay.
to us for permission.
Okay, great. So I can take that tree very close.
That one, yeah, that one tree, yeah.
Yeah, I would say after you go in, like, once the anything behind the fence, you should call before you do anything, once that fence gets in.
Yeah.
Because that's what we call a permanent movable barrier, like, it's supposed to create like that visual and physical barrier, so like, whatever you do on this side of it is pretty much approved already, and whatever on the other side, so don't throw your, like your grass clippings back there.
No,
don't
this
put a
is
shed back there.
new to me and I'm loving it, so.
Right? You're gonna have
Right.
great wildlife back there. It'll be awesome. You'll hear the people.
Excited to get in, yeah.
Yeah, well, good luck with it. Hopefully you'll get in soon.
Yeah. I just hope the land is going to keep me happy.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
It's a great town, so.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
you're welcome. Yep.
I'm still living there. I love the place, but I'm looking forward for a bright future.
Yeah, good. Welcome to town.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and it's nice to have a homeowner or pre-homeowner come in and
Yeah.
have this
Yeah.
discussion to understand all this before you sign on the dotted line.
This
and
house
other
comes
stuff.
to me if I do something useful for the house. That's why my husband sends me. He says, "You go and get something done today, I'll take care of the kids." So let me try something.
There you go.
All right, have a safe trip home, yep.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Good night.
Do we have any public forum requests?
I would like to get.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
to Zach.
Yep, so Ted, you're willing to?
So, yeah,
I nominate Ted.
Aren't you late? Shouldn't you have done this in July? No? You're not?
no, I don't know. John
This morning.
Galsich was working on it yesterday, and I don't know why John didn't send it forward. If somebody else wants the gig, I'm not trying to create barriers to anyone else being on Zach, but I've been there for a while, and I'm happy to keep serving.
He loves it. I
If you'll have me.
nominate Ted retroactively to June, whatever it was. Okay?
I don't think it's retroactive to June.
Well, whatever it is,
might
whenever
be
you had to be.
He loves it.
August.
All right, I'll second.
Third.
All in favor? Aye.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Congratulations.
Ted.
I will point out really quickly, super informal conversation that I had with the chair of the planning board was discussing whether, we don't even know whether it would be zoning, but whether there should be consideration of how to deal with invasives when they're not in the wetland, but a developer is coming in to build, so that invasives are dealt with in a proper way, not just chopping them all down. It's super informal discussion I had on the phone, but that may be something Zach and planning board discusses in the next several months.
Yeah, there was an initiative, Ed, I think, were you spearheading it on developing a townwide policy for
I
dealing?
wouldn't say spearheading, because I don't spearhead anything. I throw bombs and hope that someone picks them up and runs with them.
I love that.
So there is an initiative.
And if you pick that up, I already thought that I'd be inviting you. The other thing is, we're taking up the tree cutting bylaw idea again. After letting it sit for a little bit and let frayed nerves heal, we're going to be discussing that again. So those are two issues that the commission might be interested in, that are on the, one is definitely on the agenda, the other is in discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Share.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Yeah, second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.